Well, it's Friday night, and welcome to the Fancaste, episode 32. I'm your humble host, Brain Muffin, the Lifting Nerd. And with me tonight, talking while driving, Mr. Eric Ward.
What's up? I just want to give a shout out to LMP. Happy birthday, my little fruit picking friend.
And we do have Liquid Metal Pro all the way from up there in the Northeast somewhere, but we're not sure.
Well, first off, thank you, sir. Secondly, I actually had a very good birthday gift this past week. I finally got to see my dad for the first time in forever. He the virus, and his name was Adolfo. Very interesting name.
All right. And with us tonight, we have a fan of World Class Bullshitters and has her own channel, and Eric is now just dying. We have Stephanie Janiczek.
So far, LP has one confirmed death. Eric
Yes,
Ward.
yes.
Just keep talking, just ignore it.
God.
So,
Hey guys, how you doing?
so
I'm here shouting at,
hey, so Stephanie,
hanging out in Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia. Hey, not too far from my in-laws, but they really live in Richmond. So,
Yeah, soon to be Pennsylvania.
yeah.
So
Stephanie, we have all shared, the three of us and others who have been on our show have shared how we came across World Class Bullshitters. Do you want to give kind of a short version of how you came across their channel?
yeah. Well, I started my channel. My channel like this last spring, early, and it was kind of after I decided that the Force Awakens sucks. And it pissed me off, and then I got madder, so I decided to like emote. And I came across you guys just going through YouTube, and was like, gosh, these guys are awesome. I want to have them over at my house for a party, And I think the thing about it is when people suddenly realize, it's like that revelation, like, shit. This is all wrong. There have to be other people that know this. And I found you guys, and then I found a lot of other people. And it's just been snowballing since then. But you guys are like my mainstay. Seriously. I mean, I go and listen, and I laugh, and I chortle. And my husband's like, what are you laughing about? And he's like, and I'm like, I can't explain it to you. Because, he was done with Star Wars when the prequels came out. And, he just retired after 30 years in the Marine Corps. He's a retired colonel.
All right.
So he's a little more serious than I am.
Yeah. A little more intense.
And yeah. Well, he's a cool customer. He's not like that.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen him get that way. But not with me, because he knows I wouldn't take it. I don't follow orders at all.
Right.
So,
No, women
anyway,
give
so
orders.
I mean that's
They're very good at it.
Yeah. And Eric is very jaded, so.
well,
Yeah. That's an understatement, Brad.
I've gotten into mocking mode. I mean, when some of the stuff I've seen coming out in general, like in the culture in general, and the pop culture and stuff, it's like, oh Jesus, oh, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, so it was like this explosion of culture and talent. I mean, you couldn't walk 5 feet without running into a yeah. It was when people actually were when everything was on the table and no one cared. I mean, Mel Brooks and Blazing Saddles. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Archie
I mean,
Bunker.
yeah.
Jefferson.
And it's like, the Jeffersons.
Those shows couldn't exist today.
So I just go. I mean, I just look at it and go, God, these kids. I don't know what. And what's really cool about running into you guys is you guys see it. I don't think you're eating Tide Pods. Okay? I know some who might be.
Right.
Yes,
Well, my kids aren't eating Tide Pods, but
we
Think of
just.
it like this. For those that want to eat Tide Pod, that's going to let nature do what it does best. Get rid of all the sick and ignorant people out there.
Yeah, but it just makes them
Eric,
ill. I don't think it does.
Yeah,
any,
it's
any
like,
other
you know,
damage.
What are we supposed to do in Mexico? We
it's
have God, I probably have an entire country.
All right.
Oh, God.
So does anybody have any news they want to cover? I mean, I've got some, but I don't know if anybody's got anything they want to, newsworthy. Speaking of the world of entertainment,
I want to get into the world of hating airlines. I don't know if you guys heard about the story with the little dog.
oh, United.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck United.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. So the short of it, Eric, is that there was a woman with her infant and her daughter. I think her daughter was like 7 or 8 years old. They had a small dog. I forget exactly what type it is, but it has a
French bulldog.
Yeah, French bulldog, which have the
It
short
was a
nose.
French bulldog.
Yeah. And they had a TSA approved hand carrier. It was a soft carrier that just basically is supposed to fit underneath your seat. And some stewardess made them put it, or a flight attendant, excuse me, made them put it in the overhead bin. And when they flew from, was it LA to Denver? It was like a 4-hour flight. By the time they got
It was from New York to Houston.
New York to Houston. Well, anyway, so it seems I don't even know the story. Maybe I'll let LMP tell the story. The dog was dead when they
He
got
can't speak
there.
that good of English, Brian.
He can do it in Spanish.
Well,
but
I
the
can't
short,
even speak Spanish.
so the short of it's the dog was dead by the time they got there, and apparently they heard it whimpering, and because it couldn't breathe properly up in the overhead bin.
Oh man! Really?
And I tell you
That's
what, though, apparently there was a lot of turbulence, but well, that's why no one got up, because they're afraid that if they get up, I'm sorry, I would have gotten up. The dog whining for too long, I would have. Yeah, it was horrible. But United is apparently has a horrible
traveled
record.
overseas with yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, so
I've traveled overseas with my dog, so it's
yeah,
and he's a big boy, so he had to go in the underneath.
yeah.
But I tell you, man, you are sweating bullets until you see that crate come out.
Yeah.
And
that.
I got pictures of him going into the plane, coming out of the plane. This look on his face, like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
And I just, oh God, I would die. That's just horrible.
And
It's
then,
just,
and I don't know if it was a few days before, or a few days after, there was a flight where a couple was flying, I think it was to Alaska, and they put the dog on the wrong plane and sent him to Japan.
oh God. Oh man.
And they got him back, but yeah, they had the paperwork all wrong.
Just be glad the
That dog
dog
must have
been
had some-
sent to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have made it out of there alive.
Well, and they had a dog
Good job.
that went on the plane with them, and they said, "This isn't our dog," but their paperwork said it's our dog. And they're like, "No, this." And they had pictures of their dog and said, "This is our dog." And then they they tried to figure it all out, and they had swapped the dogs. And that dog was supposed to go to Japan, and that one was supposed to go to Alaska. So, but yeah, someone.
Oh my God.
I forget the exact numbers, but I did a calculation of apparently 2017 of pet deaths on American Airlines, not the American airline, but airlines from the United States. And United was responsible for 75% of them.
Yeah.
Holy sweet Jesus.
Yeah, and they have a history.
Oh
I've
my
never taken my
God.
dog on a flight.
Yeah.
You were lucky then.
Especially with United.
Yeah, if you fly
he
United, be
flew
very
from
careful. And I'm not trying to be.
San Diego to Seoul, South Carolina.
Wow.
From Seoul back to DC.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they screwed up was he was supposed to come out with our baggage, and he went to customs, so we had to give another 200 won out to get him out. That was bullshit, by the way.
Yeah.
And,
So what do they do when they go to the
Yeah.
bathroom?
They're assholes,
Like
for the most part.
who cleans it?
Well, that's why you have that
Trust.
cage. They're in a box. They're in a crate.
Yeah, yeah, they're in a crate. And there's a weight limit for that, and
Yep.
and when he got back when we landed in DC, we're like, well, where's our dog? And they're like, oh, okay, we'll go get him. And I'm like, hey, the big golden retriever. And they pulled him out, and he was, "Get me the out of here now!"
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
was
he
ready
probably
to
was
go.
traumatized.
He
They're very emotional
went to grandma's
creatures.
house, and he was racing around the backyard.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I bet.
it was, yeah. I mean, it was, but yeah, it's taking pets overseas is really tough. But you know, you send a dog to Japan because you made a mistake, and then he's got to fly all the way back within 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's hot. Oh
Yeah.
God. Oh
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Brian,
wow.
what?
Here's my segue into a Star Wars topic. I think we should subject Rian Johnson to the same travel accommodations. For
Yeah, we should. Oh my gosh.
He might be over the weight limit. Though.
Yeah.
Put him and
Yeah, I
Kathleen
mean,
and Jar Jar Abrams in there with him.
All right,
Oh God, yeah, Jar Jar. You know, I mean, this is me. I go back between, is she this incompetent because she's fired so many directors, or is she this evil? I think she's both. I mean, I have to look at it like this, because I did a video about, oh God, yesterday, about things that we thought were going to be in it, like the Knights of Ren, actually with Kyle Ron, as I like to call him, Act 2 to fight. Yeah, Kyle Ron, because it's perfect. To go after Rey and Luke, and there were people on set that saw wire fighting. Hamill went through a lot of sword drills and everything, and none of it showed up in the movie.
Yep, I've actually seen a still of
like,
Adam Driver on the island.
Yeah,
So, you're right.
You know,
That was filmed.
Yeah, it was. So, and you look at the concept art, and I know I've seen a piece of concept art where Ren is standing on a cliff, and Rey has got at least one hand on it, and you see Anakin's lightsaber falling away from her. And I'm watching it, and I'm looking at that, and I'm going, that's going to be a really cool scene, right? No, of course not. This is what I think happened. And I've got a theory that I'll never say in public. I'll only say to a bunch of people in private that something happened, and they went back to do reshoots in April, and they didn't stop until May. And then Mark Hamill started coming out and saying, "This is not my Luke Skywalker," because I don't remember him saying that the fall, right after they were done shooting, when they were shooting. I don't remember him really saying that. I mean, he was saying, this isn't going to be what you know what I'm saying, but it wasn't like, I'm warning you, you're going to hate it, And it just, to me, it just looked like something happened and they changed everything. And I don't know if it was Johnson saying, well, I want to be subversive and I want to subvert the fan expectations, which is just a big, F you to us. Or if Kennedy said, for a reason I will never divulge in public, I want you to change it because X, Y, and Z. All right? Something happened.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. I'm done ranting.
I was just going to say, I recently watched about a 30-minute clip on YouTube from South by Southwest recently, where they had Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill. They were promoting the Blu-ray release of The Last Jedi, and they brought them both out. And Mark's been doing a really good job of backtracking everything he said, trying to play, nice PR now and all that crap. Well, they were talking to Ryan about, different story points, and this guy, he was so arrogant. I mean, it was just beyond belief. I could not believe where he was like, Mark was like, originally I told him that I disagreed with all these ideas, and I told him, no, we need to give the audience what they expect. And Rian Johnson's like, no, we need to give the audience what they don't expect. And it's like, dude, you're not making an art house film here. You're making a fucking Star Wars movie. People want to see certain things,
Yes, give us sabers, give us space, give us a Wookiee.
I was so. I was just like, I'm sitting there in the theater. I had looked at the spoilers So I went from being really positive, and I have a friend who's a director in Hollywood who was like pretty sure, yeah, we're going to get what we want. He's not going to screw us over. And if my friend had actually directed this, we would have gotten the movie we wanted because he's worse than I am about this. Anyway, and he hates Rian Johnson. Anyway, so I'm sitting there in the movie theater knowing what we were going to see. Getting more pissed off and upset and more pissed off. So, flash forward to the book. Oh yeah, we don't get a good reveal for Rey, so she makes no sense. Even if now they're trying to make her like what? She's some cyborg. She just downloads shit from Kylo Ren. What the, but the book makes it worse. Okay, it's like, well, we'll throw a prologue in and we'll mention, Han and Leia and Luke and a memorial service that Leia doesn't want to do, but she has to anyway. And all the idiots standing there saying, why are we here? It's like, Jesus, oh God, no. It just made it worse. It literally just, they don't, honest to God, I honestly think this was a hate letter to the fans. I really, really do. I mean, Rian Johnson in that documentary was talking about Russian bots telling him not to kill Hux, and he believed it. I mean, Geeks+Gamers has a video on that, and I jumped on it, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, God almighty. I can't do this. I mean, dude, what is wrong with you? I mean, and, this is all on Twitter, so he's like, yeah, the Russian bots, they're telling me not to kill Hux. I'm like, and they're on Twitter? You're watching this going, yeah, oh, good Jesus. So, yeah, I think, I just think it was a big F you to us. I think the way that the disdain they have towards the fans, towards George Lucas, that, that boob milking thing, that was the middle finger to George Lucas. I mean.
Yeah. Well, have you ever seen the interview from a few years ago when Kathleen and George are sitting at the table? And she's saying that the first thing we want to do is, protect these characters and all this other BS. When George is talking, and you look at the look on her face, it's very telling that she's like, I can't wait for this guy to get out of the way. We're going to third wave feminism, deconstruct everything he's done, and this is what they've done. And the odd thing, ER has a pretty good video. I actually was watching a couple of his things today. Well, listening to him, and he talks about how we're supposed to have these empowered women in these movies. I mean, he was talking about Rogue One and how Jenna Erso was just kind of there. She's like a tag along. She doesn't have a plan. She doesn't really contribute much of anything. And Rey is this overpowered Mary Sue that's boring. It's almost like he's like, are these directors? The women involved, especially Kathleen, are so dead set against George that they're not noticing that they're kind of being punked with these horrible female characters. And in the new movie, you have Vice Admiral Gender Studies, and you have Leia. And none of them seem to be able to do anything. None of them are competent. They're just there.
Well, I saw, all right, that when that bridge collapsed down in Miami?
Yeah.
The construction company that put that together was led by women. So I sent a link to my friend, the director, and I said, does this remind you of The Last Jedi? And, he didn't say anything, but he liked it on Facebook. And I'm going, here's the deal. As a woman, I'm insulted by what I saw. And the reason is this. First off, I've hung around with female general officers. I've, had long conversations with some of them. They don't act like that. They can't act like that. If you are a general officer, a flag officer, which is an admiral, a flag officer in the Navy, she'd be a rear admiral. Would she be, if she was a low rear admiral in the United States Navy, she would probably be part of Akbar's staff, which then makes sense. If he's dead, she's the only one there to take over when Leia got her. Okay, fine. That's fine. Cool, whatever. but she's wearing these stupid senatorial robes. The way she treats her staff, and Poe, I would say, is the leader of her, fighter squadrons. He's her wing commander, right? And not telling her his plan, not telling him her plan. It doesn't fit into any concept I know of how those people work. I mean, they have.
No, I agree.
Right,
yeah, absolutely. I grew up an Army brat. So, my dad retired 21 years, lieutenant colonel in the Army, in 87.
Yeah.
And I was around, especially when we lived in Germany when I was in high school. It was a unified command. So I was, in touch with Navy officers and Air Force and Marines, and as well as enlisted and NCOs. And there are some incompetent officers that do. My dad had to work for a guy who actually made Major General. But they kind of get. But even then, what I have noticed is the incompetency of military officers that I've seen. It's the other way around. It's not that they're going to not tell you their plan. They're going to tell you how to do your job. The opposite of what we get in the movie, where it's all secret and only Leia and I can know about it. And they're, whatever plans they have are horrible. All they do is get almost everybody killed twice. They lose all their bombers in the beginning, and near the end they get almost everybody else killed except who can fit on the Millennium Falcon. So
Rian Johnson has no idea of how to write a Star Wars movie. He doesn't have any knowledge or appreciation for the military. The guy is such a freaking snowflake. It's not even funny.
It sounds like he just doesn't know how to.
Right.
I just, so I might even actually, somebody asked me on Twitter to do a video about this, so I said, I think I might.
Yeah, sounds like you need to, yeah.
So she's a low admiral, a low rear admiral. She would, okay, I'm a logistics officer. What the fuck? I understand the confusion, her not, that would make sense. If she's a senator, a senator that survived or somehow wasn't on Hosnia Prime when it got blown to pieces.
Right.
Because her stupid friggin' outfit, that would make sense too.
Right.
But they give her this Dwight Eisenhower status, and I'm like, oh Jesus God, no. I mean, I've sat 30 feet from Jim Mattis when he was giving a speech. I know how guys like that are. I know how they are. And it was our Marine Corps ball 2 years ago, and I'm like, I just go, who told you this was a good idea? And the women don't act like that. This one of the reasons why I'm glad my husband never saw that, because he probably would have thrown his soda through the TV screen or the theater screen, because he'd have gotten mad. He's a scholar. So he's,
There's another thing too that was never addressed in the movie. Okay, there's been a formation of the New Republic. They barely mention it. And one system gets destroyed and the entire New Republic is gone. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like,
it just made no sense.
Right.
There's no background. There's no you don't get the feeling of just how big the galaxy is. When you watch A New Hope and Luke is, even the deleted scenes. Some of my favorite scenes in A New Hope are the deleted scenes with Biggs.
Right.
And you realize just how big this is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Biggs is talking about just what the Empire is doing, and it's like you realize how big this place really is. Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, and Jar Jar Abrams have reduced it to the size of a pea. It's just about what? It's not about it. Just I can't.
And they seem to have. It seems like they've not only done that, they've reduced the scope of the aliens. One of the things that the original, and even in the trilogy, the prequels, I think one of several things I think the prequels did well is expanding that. When you see the size of the Senate and you see how few humanoid species there are, right?
Yeah.
And you've got robots and other things, and and you get a sense of that in A New Hope. a little less in Empire Strikes Back, because basically the Empire is now just, you have this handful of rebels that they're really going after. But the cantina scenes and all that, you get this scope of how, this is a backwater world, and yet there's all these beings, right? This isn't the central hub.
Yeah.
This is a smuggler's den, really. And yet even there's this, and you have a little bit of a glimpse of that in The Force Awakens. But now it's just like, it's the diversity has to be all, we have to have skin tone humans as diversity, not the diversity of cultures and alien races that we get in most science fiction style movies that have that kind of scope.
Well,
Star Wars not the only one. Star Trek's full of, scores of alien races, and that's part of the conflict because they all have their own morality code. And now it's just been reduced to hey, wait a minute. We forgot to tick a box somewhere. We need
a bunch of rebels on the Millennium.
Yeah. Who's the gay character?
Well, just look at the opening scene of Last Jedi. All those fighter pilots. White fighter pilot, black fighter pilot, Asian fighter pilot, male fighter pilot, female. They kept cutting to each specific one. And it's like, my God, it's like, just get a bunch of people together and film a scene. You don't need to have every color of the fucking rainbow in the movie. My God, it's ridiculous.
And most of them
and that in of itself, that in of itself is, to me, racism. Because there's a quota.
Right.
And I hate that because I'm a merit person. How good? And I've got friends all over the place, and in the Marine Corps, you work your ass off. If you want to go somewhere, it don't matter. You're a Marine first. And, and that's, all right, go back to Holdo. That's the thing that pissed me off the most. She's not a naval officer first. She's a lesbian friggin' gender studies construct, a cartoon, before she's a naval officer.
Right.
And I'm like, no. But, and that's what bothered me the most. And then they have the gall to say George Lucas is racist when he, created Lando Calrissian, Mace Windu, and a sexist with Leia and Padme. And and Mon Mothma.
Well,
the
whole thing with that, if I may interject a little bit here with this, is that I already explained it. I don't know if you may have heard this before or I've read it maybe in the comments of one of the WCBS videos or listened to one of our prior videos. I mentioned something that was done by a video by Mr. Mediker. I don't know if you've heard that name on the internet. But
I think I have.
You probably may have. He actually puts out some pretty interesting content here and there. And he's been definitely talking about the SJW infiltration of entertainment, media, politics, everything for the last couple of years. He's actually been doing it for a while now. Make of him what you will. It's not for everybody, believe me. But one thing that he put out, and it was a very interesting video, was the replacement video. Replacement theories, I think is what he called it. Where he said basically, and this was actually pretty evident from all the videos and all the things everybody's been saying about The Last Jedi, how replacement theory basically works like this. You have these individuals who probably had no interest whatsoever in the media that they're trying to invade. Their whole agenda is to just have control over the media and the narrative. So, for example, you have people who claim they're Star Wars fans, but aren't actually fans to begin with. So they will invade, they will pretend to be fans, they will assume positions of power within that community, and slowly they will start making decisions that benefit their cause, their agenda. Where eventually this comes into play with the whole replacement thing is that you're supposed to kill off the old guard, so to speak. You kill them off so you can make way for the new guard, the new people in charge, a new agenda. So that's pretty much evident and everything from the spoilers I've heard about this movie and all the stuff I've heard. They've made it pretty evident, whether it be burning the Jedi library, killing Luke off, killing Han off. Even, what was it, the line that Kylo Ren says, something about burning or burying the past or something like that?
You have to kill the past. You have to kill the past in order to get to move on, or it's stupid. I'm a history major, so I'm like, you go on.
Really disingenuous.
Yeah, it's stupid.
The past, if anything, is supposed to teach you how to move forward in the future.
That's how you
Which
repeat
is-
the mistakes of the past when you kill or forget it.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
again,
you can't.
history proving that
it's-
time and time again. But I mean,
There's
we've seen it in
a story-
Ghostbusters, and we've seen it in this movie.
Oh God. I avoided. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Bill Murray. Huge fan.
I don't blame you.
I think if I met him, I'd probably just be happy and die. But if I ever met Harrison Ford, you just might as well just say, just toe tagger, you know. And I could not watch that. I mean, the Ghostbusters, that was almost a religious experience going to that when it first came out. I went to it on a date. We had so much fun. All we did was laugh the whole time because it was irreverent, great humor. There was nothing forced. There was nothing, this must be because we have to do, it's all this. We just can't be funny. We just can't have fun. We have to make sure that, this check is blocked. This block is marked. This is done. This is done. You know what I'm saying? And, when I saw that they were doing the female Ghostbusters, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad.
Oh yeah, I
And-
definitely when I heard that.
I just, so it, it's just, it's again, the snowball effect. And I think it's right. These people are not exactly fans of even the media they're in. They're there to control the narrative, and it's quite obvious. I mean, but here's the thing that bothers me about all this, and I'm going to go on an ironic little bent with Rian Johnson. Kathleen Kennedy got the job I wanted. Okay, when I was 9 years old, and I sat in the middle row at Hollywood Theater in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Star Wars started, and I was completely entranced. I was literally this is what I want to do with my life. And I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to make movies, and I was a singer. And listen to my voice, and you will understand why I can't do that anymore. I was an opera singer. I was a soprano. I got sick. Bad shit happened. That's a story for another day. I'm looking at this woman thinking, you got to work with Steven Spielberg. You got to learn at his elbow. You got to learn at the elbow of George Lucas. And you have not appreciated one freaking bit of the opportunities that you have been given by life. And that is my biggest problem with her. Everything to her whole way growing up was an insult. All right, to her, I'm pretty sure she thought it was. I have to work under these men and they blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, Kathleen, that's Steven Spielberg. Okay, shut the fuck up. All right. That's George Lucas. Shut up. All right. Listen to him. Learn from him. Build on what he's built. Don't ruin it. Instead, she just kicked the sandcastle over. I mean, that's exactly what she did. And, on the ironic note about killing the past, here's the thing that really ruins that whole narrative. Rey has all the books from the Jedi Temple on the Falcon. She has the Millennium Falcon. She has Anakin's lightsaber, and she's talking to Leia. So this whole kill the past, that message is bullshit. Utter bullshit. And I think they know it. I mean, I can't get this. It's not what you hear them say. It's what you see happening around you. And it's like, I just, whatever. It's such utter garbage, utter.
Well, it's like they're killing the only part of the past they want to kill is the male part, right?
Yeah.
Rather the
Yeah.
alpha male part, if you will.
And I think Jeff I think it was Jeff that said this somewhere early on, that it would almost seem like Kathleen's idea was to kill off Solo, to kill off Luke, and then the third movie was going to be Leia's time. Now, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher, kind of returned to some of her old ways and died. And it sure seems like that's the case. Now, granted, Harrison Ford wanted Solo to die, apparently, and I didn't know this back in 1980, for Empire. And that was a kind of a concession. And I can see George's side of it. His journey wasn't quite finished as far as with Leia. you know, if he had put Luke and Leia together as opposed to being siblings, then Solo probably could have died the heroic death in Empire Strikes Back, and it probably would have been a bit more of a bitter pill. And you know, the thing is, I think some of these, like, you know, you talk about Ghostbusters. I think the new Ghostbusters could have been good, but they're met because they had very talented actresses, very funny comedians, in that. But they were trying to one up each other, which the guys kind of did in the original a little bit, but not as much because they had worked together before and they kind of fed off of one another. But unfortunately, the agenda was first, and the social politics was first, and then there was no real script. I mean, is that Kevin Feige? I forget the guy's name who did that. He said that. Right, he even said that, you know, he would just let them ad-lib scene after scene after scene, and their egos got in the way, and the jokes got stupid, and the movie just really fell apart, and we were supposed to be wowed by the special effects. And I'm seeing that more and more. I mean, we can probably, at some point, we're going to talk about the Avengers trailer. I mean, I watched it today, and I was like, you know, I am so sick of the CGI spectacle, I don't even have words. There were a few parts that were... You know, hey, there's a person actually acting. And I'm really to the point that anybody that gave crap to George Lucas for the prequels, for the CGI stuff, really has no leg to stand on anymore. And you know, we've talked about on this show, because I have actually seen some behind the scenes stuff not too long ago, because I was kind of curious as to how he was doing that. A lot of that stuff is models that are scanned. They're not shaded and colored, so that all happens in the computer. There's a lot less computer generated than people realize in the prequels. There's a lot of, they're in front of a green screen many times, but what's filled in are miniatures, or what they actually, by the time you get to Lord of the Rings, they call them bigatures, because they were so large that they scan at, you know, every inch of it from every angle with very neutral lighting, so that in the computer, they're not modeled in the computer, they're shaded in the computer. And so then they can add, and so that was a little bit of an early technique that looked a little dated with the prequels, but by the time you get Lord of the Rings, they've pretty much got that squared away. And, but I mean, they had, one of the miniatures they used for Lord of the Rings was like 3 stories. The tower, that Sauron's tower, it's like 3.5 stories. It's huge. I mean, I have all of those DVDs, and I've watched every behind the scenes. I mean, I'm a bigger fan of those books than I was even of the Star Wars movies. But the real kick in the teeth here is we could have good female-led movies, but there's too much identity politics in the way. And that has to be first, as opposed to, okay, maybe it should be a subtext, maybe. I don't even know if it should be that. Because there are some subtexts to the original series, or some subtext to the prequels, but they're not the main story. The main story is this young boy who goes off and has an adventure. It follows the hero's journey. You have a bad empire and things, but in the prequels, it's a little bit more preachy because of things that go on in the country, but it's still not the main story. The main story is this, how the Jedi were almost full of themselves, and, well, not almost, they were kind of thinking there's nothing can touch them. You had a very large bureaucracy that could be corrupted, and was, and kind of the consequences of that. And, now what we have is the identity politics is first, and if by chance they stumble across a good story, well, then we'll get it. But other than that, that's all we get.
It'll be America that can pull that one out of their ass.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you kind of want to go back and go, to Bob Iger, who I've got a whole thing about him, and say, look, you bought Lucasfilm. Is Lucasfilm a good fit for Disney with your warrior princess stuff? Well, if you're gonna portray Leia and the girls the way George Lucas did, which was actually far more honest than any of the chicks that are writing in the story group do. I mean, he actually knows a lot about how we women behave, and Larry Kasdan does, and which I find fascinating. Or are we going to let Star Wars be Star Wars and let Disney sort of kind of change a little bit around it to accommodate it. Because you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't just, okay, we're going to wipe everything out and, do this gender neutral bullshit. It just, it doesn't make any sense to me. And and it's sad, every time I think about it, and I've only seen The Last Jedi once. I'll never see it again. If I ever get my hands on a free copy of the book, I'm going to do a video of me setting it on fire in my fire pit. I am. I'm not.
I'm glad that you emphasized free copy of the book. You could probably get it for $1 somewhere pretty soon, at most.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'll find in New York City.
I mean, if the toys are $1 instead of $10, surely the book's going to be trying to be given.
Oh yeah, it's going to be at Barnes and Noble for like, here, please take me.
Free with the coffee.
Here's the thing about
free with the purchase of coffee.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that because I like coffee. Here's the thing about Bob Iger. CNBC 2 weeks ago had a story that the shareholders voted down his CEO pay compensation. Now, he is the chairman and CEO of the entire Disney conglomerate, from ESPN, ABC, to Walt Disney movies, to the theme parks and everything. But Star Wars is the jewel in the crown, okay? And I'm looking at this going, if he's in trouble, if they voted down his pay package, if I was Kathleen Kennedy, I would probably be watching my back, because there's somebody.
She's going to make a power
me.
play. She's going to make a power play on that CEO position. I have no doubt about it.
I don't. I think after my spidey senses, after everything that I've looked at the numbers of what The Last Jedi actually made, and I'd love to get a Disney annual report to look at it. And I'm not good with numbers, but I can make heads and tails of that. If it made $1.3 billion, if they're absolutely positive that it did, in profit, I'll eat my wine glass, because I can't quite believe that. So I look at it like this. It's about money. It's about going to the movie theater, going to, Target, Walmart, wherever you buy your collectibles, Amazon. It's about, downloading the music and all the rest of that stuff, all the merchandise. And if people stop doing that, Disney is not going to be able to sell them the licenses. If Hasbro says, $240 million is a lot of money for us to spend on something that doesn't move. How about if we offer you $50 million? Something a lot lower. And the shareholders are going to go, hey, wait a minute. And they're going to look at Iger and go, you got problems over there. And we don't like what's going on at Hasbro. If you don't fix this, you're gone. And I look at Kathleen Kennedy and going, I hope you have a golden parachute, because she can make all the power play she wants. But those people, there's a video of one of them confronting him about, I don't know what, because he's got problems. You got that slag on the fuse screaming about the vice president. It's like, look, let me shut up. And you've got problems like ESPN preaching. It's tumbling down. Disney is not in a position they want to assume they are, and that is when shit starts changing. And here's
yeah, I was reading an article about that. Eric, is that you got your window down? All right, there's a lot of. I thought it was your car. You're making a lot of car noise, but
maybe it's the
That's
AC in the car.
yeah. A lot of
LNP quit farting at you.
How did you know it was next to the screen?
You freaking burritos, man.
It's not my dog either.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a car. But
damn Mexicans and their freaking beans and burritos.
Hey, right out of this.
Those some beaners. I think
burrito bandits.
Disney can hide a lot of those costs. About marketing and all the other stuff. And what was the real cost of The Last Jedi? But I really think that the way that the merchandise, especially the toys, has not moved for now a couple of years. This next time around, it's not just going to be Hasbro and whomever's making it, but the retailers. For starters, you're going to have Toys R Us going out of business has actually been something that's been going on for a while. There was a restructure a couple of years ago that basically guaranteed they were going to eventually kick the bucket. But
it's a damn shame, is what it is.
But so you're not going to have that outlet. But Walmart and wherever all these places that sell these toys, they're not going to order as much.
No, they're not going to want it.
And so I think that is going to be where because in Spaceballs, speaking of Mel Brooks, this is where he makes a spoof. He talks about merchandising, and that's where the real money is made, right? Yogurt. And they'll make quite a bit of money on the movies themselves, but if the merchandising deals don't come through, that's the things. That's your long-term, if you will, income from a movie. Right, you get a big boost when the movie's out. You get another one when the DVDs come out. Maybe you get some rentals or things like Netflix and stuff. But the merchandising can go for years. And when the merchandising is just dying, movie after movie after movie, after Return of the Jedi, the merchandising slowed down a lot because there was no movie. There was other stuff, going on. We end up with Back to the Future. There was a Ghostbusters 2 eventually. We had other movies in the 90s and other franchises and things and other things to kind of occupy our time. There was still Star Wars merchandise, but it wasn't, the huge seller. And,
it's
Iger's making there's a lot of crap going on with Disney. ESPN is probably their biggest loser right now. And that's probably where some of the biggest discontent is. But if ESPN either gets sold off or it gets its crap together and Star Wars continues this path, that's going to be the next thing that shareholders are going to start shaking up their fingers at Iger for. And I kind of agree. I think if there's kind of a if Iger either is forced out or retires or something, if things don't go right, I think Kathleen might try for something. I don't know if it'd be for the whole thing or maybe just controlling all the movies, some Marvel and stuff too. I don't know, but they've got a lot of properties that they own that are really, and ESPN's their biggest struggle right now. And they've had to lay off.
I agree.
People.
I look at her and go, she's just a conniving. And she's just stupid enough to think this is her chance.
Right.
And it's like, honey, you're one of the reasons why people are pissed off. And here's the thing that makes me think that Rian Johnson's not going to get a trilogy. You don't bring Jon Favreau in to do a TV show. All right? And a friend of mine said, sometimes you bring in somebody who's a big dog and give them a job until such as time that the problem can be removed. And then you put that person where they're supposed to be.
And those guys in Game of Thrones, too. Those guys are red hot right now,
Yeah, those guys are hot. And I'm like, somebody has this, and this is, and I heard a rumor, and I don't think it's true now because of what Lucas said to Mark Hamill during his Hollywood Star ceremony, that before Christmas, Lucas was up in Belfast looking at movie, sites to film. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, what the hell is going on? And somebody said, what's for the Obi-Wan movie? And I said, oh, no, it's not. Because they had just announced they had pushed back filming episode 9 2 months. I said, no, it's not. Something's going on here. Now, the way he was talking, he's not interested in directing anymore. But that doesn't mean that he's not involved. There's something, I really do believe it. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's just, all this stuff just doesn't make any sense to me right now if everything's hunky-dory. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, you don't bring Game of Thrones, John Powell.
Don't be surprised if at some point, even if it's not announced publicly, if Disney, even if Kathleen Kennedy is still running Lucasfilm, don't be surprised at some point if they go and they bring George back in to try to get George to settle a lot of this mess. Because it could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, that's what I think might be actually going on because, you know, JJ had that, you know, freak out about, you know, us being anti-feminist, and it's like, I'm a woman. I hated it. What are you talking about?
Bullshit, you know?
You know, and I'm thinking, all right, and then Daisy said, because I actually think Mark Hamill's kind of goading some people to say something, you know, like subtly, hey, this is what happened. Daisy basically said that there were 3 script outlines, and then Rian Johnson threw it all away. All right. Okay. So, you know, you've got that going on, and it's like, he's not getting his trilogy. And somebody told me the other day they thought that he was lashing out because he knows he's not. And it's like, you know, you can't treat Star Wars like it's an art house movie. I mean, anyway, so.
Well, Ron Howard recently came out and said that George Lucas directed a scene in Solo: A Star Wars Story. And he was saying that George came to the set one day, and he's like, George wouldn't leave. George kept interjecting his opinion, and he's like, he wouldn't leave. He's like, so I just said, direct it. So that should tell you, George still cares.
Well,
how can he not?
Well,
you know?
Yeah, well, that's his baby. I mean, and he was
exactly
screwed over, you know? I was really interested in the fact that he went to the set of The Last Jedi, from what I've heard, and was walking around going, why are there so many sets? And now when you see all the articles that are being revived about, oh, the Knights of Ren were here, we saw wire fighting, you know, Hamill talked about going back to sword fighting, you know, training again, all the rest of that stuff. And I'm going, you know, they might have been filming 2 movies. It sounds like to me like there was a bunch of stuff that was literally left on the cutting room floor that maybe JJ wrote. All right. And they went back and reshot stuff, and Hamill realized, I mean, I don't know. I sound like I'm crazy, but it's like something bizarre.
No, you're not,
happened.
because you're right. I heard about the same stuff you did. I saw stills from Ireland of Adam Driver, and I saw different long-range photos of them filming. So you're dead on.
Yeah.
It was filmed.
Well, you know, so if Driver was there on that island, and you see that picture of Rey racing across the sand, you know, and then you see the concept art, and you see what was really going to happen is the Knights of Ren go after Luke, and he just kicks it, you know, he rolls through them like a bowling ball, from what you could tell. And then Rey takes on Ren, and he basically, I mean, that picture of her, and I can see the concept art, her holding on with one hand and the lightsaber falling away. And then Luke confronts Ren. And I'm like, what a cool scene. I mean, this is what we wanted. Oh, great. Oh, great. Thanks, Ryan. You know.
Oh, if I was Mark Hamill, and if I read that The Last Jedi was intended to be like that from the beginning, I would have said, fuck you. I'm not doing it. You can sue me for breach of contract, whatever you want to do, but I am not doing this movie. I would have loved to have seen how Disney, or should I say Luke.
Oh, if you'd have gone public and said this sucks.
They would have done. If Luke Skywalker said, fuck you, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think
because
that would have been great.
Kill Luke off?
You know,
he's the last of the 3 characters. What are you going to do? You know?
Yeah. You know, he's such a stand-up guy, and he's not.
Yes, he is.
You know, Harrison Ford's like, I want nothing to do with this anymore, and I can't really blame him. Carrie Fisher is gone, but it's really interesting. I was watching a video from that stupid documentary that came out of her talking about Rian Johnson, and she kind of said something tongue-in-cheek about him saying he's a something like he's a different kind of guy or something like that. Like he's like, if you thought about it on the face, oh, she thinks it's just like, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She's just
Well, it's
smart
like,
to come out and say,
it's like, you know, at South by Southwest when Rian Johnson called Mark Hamill a motherfucker.
yep,
Whether that was
Yep.
tongue-in-cheek or not, it's like, dude, this is fucking Mark Hamill here. He's like the emissary for Star Wars, for old school Star Wars. He's the last one
yeah.
left. He's basically Mark
you know-
Hamill. Mark Hamill's a fanboy, self-admitted fanboy to begin with. So it's like, dude, you don't treat
Yeah.
people like that, you know? Especially
No,
in
you
public.
don't. You don't. Yeah, well, I think I was probably raised right because people you respect, you treat them with respect. And obviously Rian Johnson has no respect for him because, you might, here's the deal. Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill are friends. You never see either of them talk like that about each other in public,
Of course not.
They
have
and they
class.
wouldn't
They
anyway,
have class.
all right?
They
Yeah,
have class.
yeah, and it's
That's the difference.
I honestly think Rian Johnson is socially awkward.
Probably is.
I mean,
if you look at it, let's look at what's going on. Let's not even think about this as just a Star Wars thing. Let's look at it as a societal thing. What is it saying about society, and if anything? When we segue to,
I mean, he's engaged
definitely
in
gonna bring
Twitter,
it
in Twitter battles on a daily basis. Like, dude, you're tweeting having to defend your film.
like,
That's wrong.
listen, get back to your
You have to do that.
job. Exactly. Get back to your job. Get back to what you're supposed to be doing. Stop taking time off to start, fighting trolls on the internet. Because, a lot of them are just trolling him. Some of them are
That's
being
a battle
pretty
you're
real.
never going to win. You're never going to
Exactly.
win that battle.
You're never going to
yeah,
win. And it's ridiculous. But,
yeah.
I know me and Brian said this a while back. Where we were talking, I think it was about the Solo movie and how they kept firing another director. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was you or me that brought up the theory, but I do really believe that part of the reason why those directors got fired was because they were not willing to, essentially, to put it bluntly, they're not willing to bend over for Kathleen Kennedy. She's saying bend over, and they said no.
Right.
So
No, I agree.
he said, let me replace you
Well,
with
here's the
someone
thing,
that will
though.
take over me.
The LMP, here's the thing, though. People keep, talking shit about Ron Howard and shit. It's like, okay, whether you like him or not, the guy's a good director, but why
He
would
is.
he come and attach himself to a film he did not want to personally craft? He's one of the biggest directors ever. He can do whatever he wants. Why would he go put himself on the line for a film he wasn't willing to put himself out there for and bend over for Kathleen Kennedy, even though they're friends? The guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
she didn't bring in a hack. So
No.
Oh, I
don't
think
know,
she.
just
I
felt he
think.
could handle it or what?
The question
I
here is,
think-
why is he there? We should probably actually look
I
more
think
into it.
that- I think she went to Steven Spielberg and said, "Help me,"
Yeah, exactly.
and he said, "Okay," and they got Ron Howard. I think George Lucas jumped in to that. Here's the thing I heard, that part of the reason why they already had a bad relationship with her was they auditioned 2,400 guys to play Han. And Alden Ehrenreich, the barista boy, was basically one of the first people they auditioned, and Lord and Miller didn't like him. And because he is friends and an acolyte of Spielberg's, he got the job, okay? And then your acting coach shows up and all the rest of the stuff, and the fans are going, why didn't you just get Anthony Ingruber? I wouldn't.
Yeah, he's good.
There he is. There's Han. There he is. We're fine. Okay.
And he
Let's
looks like
cast
him,
everybody
too.
else. Oh, God. They look like. I looked at. When I saw that movie, The Age of Adeline, which you guys won't like, it's a chick flick. I'm looking at him going, where was his mother 9 months before he was born?
Yep.
And where was Harrison Ford?
He looks
Because
like,
he looks so
looks like Harrison Ford from Force 10 from Navarone. Have you seen that movie? He looks like he literally walked
yeah.
out
Oh, yeah.
of Force
I love
10 from
that movie.
Navarone
Yeah, I
in
like that
2018.
Yeah.
Same haircut,
Oh, I love that
everything.
movie. Oh, my God. Barbara Bach and, oh, God, Robert Shaw. Oh, God, I love him
Yep.
so much. Oh, what a great actor.
But like when I
Yeah.
that movie, I'm like, holy shit, you know.
So what's this
Yeah,
guy's
and
name?
it's like,
What's this
so-
actor's name that looks like Ford?
Anthony
Anthony Ingruber.
Ingruber.
And he actually
sounds
did a
just like,
YouTube video, Brian. Yeah, he actually did a video where he was impersonating Han Solo. And holy shit,
Yeah, and
man,
it
it is
sounded
like
just like
dead on. The
Yeah,
facial
it's dead on.
expressions, the pauses.
Oh my, yeah, yeah. You just darken
Yeah.
his hair, and he does look like Ford from Force 10 from Never on.
Force 10, man.
Oh, here's a picture with him standing next to Harrison, and he's just barely taller. Oh my goodness.
yeah, and
They got the same mouth
it's like,
and nose.
yeah, it's
Holy
like
cow.
these guys are like father and son, I swear, or
Yeah,
big brother and
I
little
think
brother
you're,
or
I think you're
something.
onto something there,
And it's like,
Stephanie.
you know,
Yeah, where was Harrison?
So yeah, so we're all like going, okay, why didn't you hire him? And honestly, I mean, again, this goes to Kathleen Kennedy being I think, a sexist bitch.
Control
You can't
freak.
have an alpha male
Yeah.
or anything like that
Yeah,
on a movie. You know, Han Solo is the epitome of that, isn't he?
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
he's the only. I mean, he's literally the only guy that could get Princess Leia so pissed off she can't talk.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Harrison
storms
Instant.
out.
I mean, within what, the first 5 minutes they meet?
I named Harrison Ford is odd. I named my son after him. I'm
Yeah,
much of a fan of
I have a friend who did that.
So,
I have a friend who did that. I mean,
yeah,
he
Harrison
was.
Ford is awesome.
Yeah, and he's actually.
He
I've got. I mean,
Cool.
I have friends who like do aviation history stuff, and they know him, and he's like the most stand-up guy you'd ever want to meet. He's really, really
And
down to
people-
earth and really, really cool.
There are people
You know,
that want to be
I just-
cool. He's just cool.
Yeah, he just is cool. I mean, that's who he is, and you know, it's like, why couldn't we get somebody like that, even if it wasn't Ingruber? Wasn't there somebody else out there? But no, we get, and this is who Aaron Reich reminds me of. If you ever watch, this episode of Frasier where Niles freaks out. He's at the coffee shop. And he basically says it's the last straw because it was literally the last stirring straw. And he starts stripping. And Roz is like, oh my God. So she's on the phone trying to get Frasier to show up so he can save him. And the barista, this short non-entity, you know, this little voice like this. And he goes, well, I'm going to call the cops. And she's like, if you call the cops, I swear I'll hunt you down. This man's tips have paid for all the pot you'll ever smoke. You know, but it's him. That's who he reminds me of. That obnoxious. Oh God. And it's like really, that's my favorite character. And you're basically
Mine
turning
too.
him to somebody I want to throat punch. You know.
Well, my
Anyway,
only hope for the movie is the fact that Lawrence.
Oh no, Eric.
Hello,
Hello, Eric.
Eric.
Oh, he
Eric.
cut off.
Got him.
No, he's still.
He's still there.
Yeah.
I s-
Oh man, I know he's getting close to home too because he's already been to Chipotle. Hey, you're back, Eric.
Oh, I'm back now.
You got
No,
to. We
no, I
heard
was
you
just
to
saying,
Lawrence Kasdan, and that's as far as we heard you.
I heard Chipotle.
I said he was at Chipotle, but already. So repeat whatever you were saying, man.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I'm just gonna say the only real hope I have for the movie is the fact that Lawrence Kasdan and his son wrote the movie. That's the only the real hope I have for it to be a decently cool movie.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, Larry Kasdan is probably the brightest spot in a very dull bulb. You know.
And for those of you who don't, and for those of you listening who don't know who Lawrence Kasdan is, please go check out his IMDb. The guy's not only a great writer, the guy's a really good director. He's directed a lot of really cool films. The guy's very talented.
Oh yeah,
Silverado.
Continental.
Check it out. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Silverados.
Yeah,
That's one of the
Continental
best
Divide.
westerns ever, especially in the modern
Oh,
era.
God.
You know, once you get out of the 40s and 50s, the kind of the classic time of westerns. So speaking of which, Eric, how much more time do you have before you've got to drop off?
I just pulled in my driveway. Actually,
Okay.
So I have children waiting for me to be annoying and pester the shit out of me. So.
All right.
Basically life.
You want to sign off then?
Yes. Yeah, Stephanie, nice to meet you. You definitely are awesome.
Nice to meet you, Eric.
And for those of you that are listening that don't know who Stephanie is, her videos are very cool. She definitely does not hold back. And check them out. They're very entertaining.
Hey, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
LMP, happy birthday, bud. I'm going to watch Death Wish tonight just for you, man.
Oh, definitely, please do. I unfortunately I'm gonna be spending the weekend with family, so I can't get plastered. I will hope to change that after this week, and I do have a few dates lined up, so I do hope to get plastered during those.
All right.
And Brian, take
Yes, sir.
it eeasy. Let's definitely do that idea sometime in the future. I was talking to you about.
Oh, yes.
That would be fun, I think.
Yep. Anytime, man. Just get a hold of me and we'll figure something out. Now that ski season's over and I'm feeling okay, almost any time would be fine.
Well, next week we can talk about Death Wish, maybe some other cool stuff.
I want to see that so bad.
The Last Jedi
God.
audiobook as well, which has been interesting. So.
Okay.
I'll give you a little bit of an insight, Stephanie, because actually it is much better than I thought it was going to be.
All right, Eric.
Yes. It was unapologetically non-PC. Bye. You guys have a great night.
See you,
Awesome.
man. All right.
Awesome.
So
now that he's coming, talk about him. No. So I know we had. Speaking of Death Wish, I know we had that on the list. Do you want to give a very short thing, LMP, and save most of it for when you and Eric can banter back and forth?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'll save the good stuff for next time. But as far as what I thought of the movie, we'll just backtrack to when a little bit. I don't remember when they announced the release of the remake, because remember the original Death Wish is actually adapted on the novel, and they actually make mention of this in this Death Wish as well. But this is the remake of the Bronson film back. Damn, I forgot the year that it came out. God, my memory is like horrible right now. But basically, if you've seen the Bronson film, you know that there's some shootings, there is some social commentary, there's a lot of debate about guns. Basically, that is all brought back in this the Death Wish movie with Bruce Willis. It is directed by Eli Roth, who I have to say has to be one of the few guys in Hollywood, if he is in Hollywood. I'm not sure if he does like his own thing independent or whatever, but who has balls and really does not take too well to the PC social justice culture. In fact, he released a movie prior to this called The Green Inferno. It's a cannibal film. You know, if you are familiar with that genre, you kind of know what to expect here, where he actually kind of attacks social justice warriors, and he actually called them that by name. So when the Death Wish movie got announced, the remake rather, the one that just came out, I was a bit skeptic. I voiced my concerns. I had this feeling that he was just going to make it a gore fest, like a glorified gore fest. I've seen Hostel. I didn't like it. I thought it was just gory for the sake of being gory. I didn't see the point behind it. I never bothered with to. But like Eric said, it is unapologetically anti-PC. It doesn't really... I'll say maybe it pulls a few punches here and there, but nothing that I would consider, serious. That's just me nitpicking it a little bit. There are moments where he really crosses a line, and moments where he is at it, and you're left wondering, oh, how's this gonna end? How's this gonna turn out? There are a few little jokes here and there, but the one thing that I found interesting about the movie is how, just like the original version with Bronson, this movie really could be considered a product of its time. So much so, and it actually probably says more about our society now than any other criticism that has, take your pick of anybody who's ever said anything about modern day society. criticize it, put it into a video, book, whatever. I think this movie actually perfectly captures society as a whole right now. And part of the reason why a movie like this really did not deserve the reviews it got. So I'll leave it at that. I recommend it. Again, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I will say this much. I did kind of catch the movie a few minutes late into it. Me and my brother went to watch it on a whim. And we were probably like maybe 5 or 10 minutes late. I don't think we missed much, but we didn't miss like the important stuff in the beginning. And if you are familiar with the original Death Wish films, I won't say that this is better than the original. The original still holds water to this very day. But this is definitely a good tribute to it. Bruce Willis did a great job in my mind, in my opinion. There were characters that were pretty... There were good characters. There was actually some pretty memorable moments. I'm still, like, to this very day, quoting some of them. One line in particular, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you should ask for a certain person next time you go to a certain place. I'll leave it at that. So watch it.
So did it? Hey, I have a question. So you said it didn't deserve the reviews it got. Did it get bad reviews? I've only been semi paying attention. So
holy shit, did they do?
Okay.
Oh my God. I remember watching a bit. I think something came on my feed on YouTube one time. So I was going through my recommended list, and it said something about Death Wish getting the reviews it did. And I saw things in the like low teens, in the 20s, 1 out of 5s, and almost, God, I always keep bringing up Gamergate, but it's just funny how that thing is still to this very day relevant in my mind. For anybody who remembers, there was that one Game Journals Pro thing where all the journalists started attacking gamers. It seemed like a collective effort. And, you know, you want to talk about collusion, there you go.
Yeah.
It felt just like it. You had reviews talking about how this is a movie made for like a dying culture, referring to like gun lovers and stuff like that. Others saying it couldn't come at a worse time.
I see. Okay, yeah. So now this. Okay, I just looked up Rotten Tomatoes. Sorry to interrupt, but this is a lot like what we got with was it Justice League, or even Jumanji, right? Jumanji's got what a 87%, something like that audience score. Yeah, Death Wish 17% from the professional critics, 106 reviews counted. 5,800 user ratings, and it's 82%. I mean, that is huge difference. Huge.
It really is. Hell, if I were to go a step further, I bought the tickets through an app called Atom, and for anybody who wants to go, who probably regularly watches movies, download the app. They occasionally give you deals on movies. So, like, for example, with Death Wish, me and my brother went to go see it for $5 a piece each. No taxes, nothing. On a regular Sunday during regular, like afternoon. So that's really good, especially here in New York City, where ticket prices could be anywhere from, I think we're up to like 13 to like 15, and even like 18 or 20, depending on what version you see it in.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So we were looking through it. Obviously, Black Panther has the 5 out of 5. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it deserves it. Whatever. But Death Wish actually has rating score of user base of about 4 to 4.5 stars, which is really telling.
Yeah. Yeah, the average rating is 4.2. They're here on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, apparently last weekend it only brought in 6.7 million, but perhaps as word gets out, I mean, but Jumanji is still in the top 10. This is one of the things that we had, the digital release of Last Jedi yesterday. And Jumanji's still in theaters, and here in Cincinnati, it's still in a bunch of theaters. It's not like it's in 2. And I am familiar with the original. I really never saw the original Charles Bronson movie. I've seen parts of it, but I may have to check this out.
To watch.
The original Charles Bronson movie is really good, and they made parts like 2 and 3.
Yeah.
He was,
total.
Is it 5 total?
I grew up with him. He was one of those guys I grew up with, and really an interesting guy. I mean, really, actually a very good actor. He played a Polish POW in The Great Escape.
Yep.
I
that
saw that.
claustrophobia issue. What a great movie. I mean,
it's
well,
good.
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, Steve
God.
McQueen. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean.
Oh well,
and
Robert,
those were good movies.
Robert Shaw's in that one too, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Now, who am I thinking of?
No,
then?
he's Richard Attenborough's in it.
Okay.
That one British guy whose name I can never remember, who's in everything back then.
Yeah.
I think one of the one of the guys from JAG is in it. Donald Pleasance was in it.
Oh, James Garner.
James Garner is in it.
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I'm thinking of. Charles Bronson was the tunnel guy, and ironically that he has claustrophobic issues. That was
Yeah, and they end up being the only ones that get away. They're the only ones, if I remember right, that get away.
I think.
I mean,
who was the guy? The guy that was supposed to be a Australian POW. He gets away because he.
Oh gosh! James Coburn.
Yeah, James Coburn.
Yeah.
Because he gets on a bicycle and just he doesn't draw attention to himself. He's in a cafe somewhere, and the guy tells him to duck, and he meets up with the resistance, and he meets up with the he gets into Spain because he meets up with the Spanish resistance that way. So
Yeah. He got away, and the Poles got away, and Steve McQueen ended up back in the cooler.
Right, and because originally he was seen now. Okay, so here's an interesting sidebar. Steve McQueen is in that movie because to pander, if you will, we'll use the positive side of that word to the American audience, because originally when that happened, I mean, it is based on a historical event. There weren't any Americans in that camp at the time. And so they added his character so that there would be an American for the American audience. And because James Garner, I mean, he's an American actor, but I don't think he plays an American, or maybe he's an American too. I'm not sure. But that's part of why that's part of why he ends up back in the cooler, because that wasn't part of the escape originally. So.
That was funny. I mean, I remember when I would have to go to sleep and because I was I'm the youngest of 9 kids, and my brother would go look at me and point his finger at me and go, "Hilts, Kula," marching up the stairs, and like, "Dad, tell him to stop it." So I mean, it's really funny how stuff like that kind of brings back memories. But Charles Bronson was a pretty big deal. I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, him and Clint Eastwood had all those sort of gritty kind of movies based in retribution. It's interesting that they wanted to remake Death Wish. I was a little bit iffy about it, but now I want to see it just because, there's something going on in the culture. Hollywood can say whatever they want, but people are choosing not to follow that crowd, and they're choosing what they want, which is why Death Wish works, which is why people like it, and why, The Last Jedi and A Wrinkle in Time are crashing and burning because people are bored. People are sick of it, and that's. I gotta see that. I really do. I know Bruce Willis isn't exactly great to the fans, but I've always liked him. He just is one of those kind of last of the cool movie star types in Hollywood. Yeah.
Well, I liked him back in. I liked him on Moonlighting back in the 80s. He kind of had, and now his Seagram's wine cooler commercials were a bit cheesy, but that character David Addison, I believe, is his name. Now, I mean, Moonlighting eventually it suffered like a lot of series do after 3 or 4 seasons. It really starts to get long in the tooth, and what's her name actually got pregnant in real life. I mean, because that's the other problem sometimes is when you have single characters and the actress wants to have a child and wants to start a family, and depending on the shooting schedule, you can't always have a child around that, and it's how do you write it in?
Yeah.
But I liked the first few seasons of that. The guy who played Booger in Revenge of the Nerds, I forget his name now. They gave him some more time as time went on. But I like that. And the thing with Charles Bronson, and I know he was in several other movies in the 70s too, is he had that. He had, and Clint Eastwood as well. He had that tough guy look and attitude, even when he wasn't saying anything. His presence was that. He didn't have any. In a lot of those movies too, you didn't have a belittlement of people unless they were the bad guy. And Charles Bronson always came across to me as one of those guys who had that attitude without having to say he had it.
Yeah, that's pretty much his character. If you look at, this is not really going to spoil too much, but just to give you an idea, his character really starts out as a pacifist in the series. Like, we've talked about politics here numerous times, but there's even a little quip about, being a bleeding heart liberal here. And when you think about it, it's slow. It's like a slow change. I'm like trying not to spoil it too much here because I don't want to. I mean, if you've seen the original, Stephanie, you're pretty much kind of know what's going to happen in this one. But I just want to keep that suspense because if you're really going to watch it, I want you to have that suspense ready going into this. But basically, his character kind of becomes. I mean, even in the beginning, like when he's still like a pacifist, like very peaceful, very like bleeding heart, whatever. I just can't get that term out of my head. He has a very like calm persona about him, but he still has that look that you're talking about, that very intimidating, tough guy look. Like he's just naturally looks that way. This man could command respect simply by looking at him, and that's basically what the series becomes. Talk about. I didn't even know that the series had more than 3 films. I thought 3 was it. I only found out in the last couple of years that there was a 4 and a 5. I still haven't checked those out. So I hope to find one.
I haven't seen those either. I mean, I think after a while, it kind of got okay. They made another one. Okay, whatever. But fun though. It's an interesting character study to me. And it's an interesting character arc. I mean, what's going to push you over the edge? What's going to make you do something you never thought you'd do? I mean, you never thought you'd have to do. I mean, that's happened to other people. What would make you do that? And then you kind of have to follow through that, sort of weave your way through that psychology. And I think it's fascinating to me. It's really interesting. And, that was a big deal back in the 70s and 80s, especially in the 70s, because, it was such an explosion of culture and talent from movies to music, and yet there was such a kind of a hopeless sort of kind of dark atmosphere. And a lot of those movies kind of reflected that. It's just interesting how the talent sort of kind of changed, that rose to the surface, sort of changed it into this more of an optimistic sort of thing going on. In the 80s, it was, but yeah, I gotta see this movie. I really do. I told my husband we're gonna go see it. So.
Oh, you know what's gonna be the other good thing I was gonna tell you? This movie isn't a long movie. I don't think it's because the original is like 100. I think it's like an hour 47 minutes long. I'll verify that right now. This one, it didn't even feel long. I think it's like less than 2 hours also. Yeah.
Okay.
93 minutes.
I mean, that's easily doable. I mean, you're not pulling your teeth out wondering when it's going to end. I've been to plenty of those. I could name one right now. I mean I'll go see that. Yeah, I want to see that. I mean, should patronize the good stuff that they put out there and ignore the other stuff. I mean, to me, that's just, That's my philosophy. I'm not going to go see Solo. I will, you know, if I can get a bootleg, I'll do it, you know, just to mock it. Because now, you know, I'm not going to, you know, there are things I won't spend my money on because it's, you know, the only thing they're going to respect is their paycheck. And if they don't get it, then they'll understand. So
I might go see Solo if I go see it with World Class Bullshitters that are here in Cincy, but you know, if it's bad like the Disney execs are kind of hinting, it might be on DVD by January 3rd. So, or no, wait a minute, it's come out in May, isn't it, dork?
Yeah.
Didn't it come out? Yeah. Well, by my birthday in June, then it might be on DVD if it's that bad. I mean, TLJ is already, you know, coming out. And, who knows? You know.
Well, maybe in the new technology, for all we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, instant cassette. See, we can. Although it's not instant DVD, so we can quote Spaceballs again. So.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
So you know, we're getting kind of to the end where we'll need to wrap up things soon. My dog was starting to get antsy too because I know when it's time. So, is there any other topics? We got a few minutes here that I know we had several other things. There's any other non-Star Wars topics anyone wants to bring up? Well, no, it's all right. Hey, we've got the Avengers trailer hit. I mean, I saw it. I don't know if you guys seen it.
I did.
I actually got I'll just bring this up now. I'm only bringing this up because Jeff or somebody talked about it. This game called Fortnite. There's an article, I think this is CNBC, CNBC.com. Fortnite is becoming biggest game on internet, surpassing Minecraft. Even Drake plays it. So Fortnite apparently has become real. I don't know this game. I don't know if my daughter plays this or not.
She probably does.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if she plays Overwatch, I'm pretty sure she plays this.
Is this the one where... Is it a first-person shooter?
Daughter, I'm sorry for saying it like that. I really didn't mean it like that.
Oh, apparently I clicked something. There's a horrible video on this thing. I'm trying to see if it's... Yeah, she does play this. Yep. Oh, no, that's Minecraft. Hold on a second. I know I'm kind of putting a pause on the show. Wow, so there's a chart. Fortnite has past Bitcoin and Minecraft as far as... Yep, she plays this. Yep, I recognize that character. Absolutely, she was playing last night.
I know.
I think she's starting to play this more than she does Overwatch now.
That might be interesting to see. So Fortnite, people, keep pushing Fortnite. I want to see the end of Overwatch. Just because. No, because Overwatch, I don't know, I felt like it's not exactly like part of me feels like it's pandering, but in a subtle way. Like, yeah, we have diversity of characters, but I feel like some of those characters were pandering. I'm just saying, this is me, but it also attracted like the Tumblr crowd and the 3D porn crowd. Hey, I'm not saying anything. I'm not gonna like knock it for that, but I don't know. I just felt like this was a pandering game. Like, it was just pandering to every possibility out there. And after a while, it just wasn't that enjoyable. But people honestly just made it a thing. And Fortnite, I'll tell you this much: it's quick fun. You're gonna die a lot if you're not really any good at it. But there is some elements to it that show strong gameplay. It's free, I think, on most platforms. I'm not sure about what's its deal on PC, but it's...
So is this like a free-to-play, but then you got to download stuff, or?
Like, I think you can you can buy stuff, like additional weapons and stuff like that, but it's still free to play, I think.
Okay. Which
is not really a bad thing per se, but I have a weird like opinion on DLC and microtransactions, where I feel like they really shouldn't be necessary. If anything, just sell me a complete game. I'll pay the price if it's worth it. You know, I'm in that. I've always been about that since I started buying games on my own. Right. Make us good enough, solid game that I can enjoy. I will pay good money for it. Obviously, I'm going to try to get the best deal when I can. But if it's good, you can expect me to see it bought on day one. But
I will say it's not for everybody. There's some people that are probably going to play it. They're going to die instantly and then just going to give it up. So that's the good thing about it, that since it's free to play, if you die and you see it's not for you, well, at least you didn't spend any extra money on it.
Right.
Whereas you have people who bought games, usually fighting or shooting games, they start to suck at them. And all of a sudden, if you bought it on day one, especially, you spend like what, close to $70 on that game.
Well, yeah, it depends on a lot. You know, sometimes they have special things where you can get, you know, different skins or depending on the game. You know, I mean, I still play WoW, although I haven't paid the subscription in almost 3 years, maybe longer, because I can make enough in-game gold to pay for it. But you know, I'm pretty much done with that. When my time runs out this time, I'm hanging up. But you know, there are people who are paying that $12 a month, and then they're having to spend $50, $60 every couple of years for the expansion pack. So
yeah, I mean, there's a good thing. There's a good side to paying the little extra for the expansions and the DLC. That's fine, but especially with the last couple of years with gaming, publishers have become very greedy, and it's like most of this content is already on the game. It's like on the cartridge, on the chip, on the disc.
Right.
But you're just essentially paying to unlock it, which is, to me, it's very unethical. It should never be done. There should be no excuse for why any company does that. We live in an age where most devices nowadays are highly capable of adding new software that changes even the format of the previous software, whether it be as an add-on or outright replacement of it. And what you're telling me that games are not capable of that, despite how much money gets invested into some of them? Oh, come on, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. It. You know, I grew up in the era where each new console, it may or may not play the previous ones. I mean, then we had the infamous, the so-called crash of '83. But Nintendo came along and kind of rescued it. But part of the problem is the Atari 2600 was so popular that if you didn't play the 2600's games, you couldn't make a new console. And on the computer side of things, even in some of the early home computers, the new computer would come out and it wouldn't run any of the old programs. I mean, that was just kind of the way things were. And Apple was kind of the first to say, hey, maybe we can make a computer that people can add on to. And then the IBM came on and did the same kind of thing, although a bit better. And that's what we have for the most part today. But you look at like a Madden game comes out every year. It could be on the same console, but you're not going to. All of your old anything you did on the previous one is probably not going to be transferred. I haven't played some of those games in years, and I never really played career mode. But that was part of the problem I had with like some of the Forza games. You would unlock all this crap, and then you'd buy the new game, and all those cards you already unlocked, you got to play it again to unlock. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So
yeah, that's the downside of it. That's really what I would say is the negative side of this whole like DLC era of gaming. Where essentially, if you really think about it, it should be possible to carry over data from previous games to new ones. In fact, that has been done before for numerous games, but it's kind of and in some cases it's done as a way to reward the player for buying the previous game.
Right.
I'll let you know, for example, a series that I was very fond of, and they butchered it in the last year or two, was the Ratchet and Clank series. If you bought the first game when it came out on the PS2, and then you bought the second game in sequel, if you had unlocked weapons and if you had bought that weapon in the first game, it actually would read your memory card and carry over into the next game. So you would actually unlock that weapon for free, or you could just buy it again, whatever. So it was a nice little touch of rewarding the player for being loyal to the franchise, and it carried on, I think, up until the third game. And I'm not sure if they did that in the PS4 versions, but it was definitely a nice little touch. And evidence that you're quite capable of carrying data from a previous game, previous software, to a newer software, even on the same model. So to me, it's really part of it is just the paywall thing. like more emphasis. Like you were talking earlier about movies and the ridiculous amount of CGI. I would go with video games and say it's just this whole nonsense of everything has to be 4K, ultra HD resolution, and to hell with the gaming mechanics, with the gameplay and the story of it. It's where we're at right now with entertainment.
Sorry for the dead air. My daughter's talking to me about Fortnite.
That's all right.
I was muted. I was trying to tell her about the article, and then I couldn't find it because I already closed that tab.
All right.
So she likes
Well,
it.
let's stop playing Fortnite.
Stop playing Fortnite. So
Watch Death Wish.
watch Death Wish. The other thing, a piece of news that I have is this is going to be sad to everyone who's a rap fan out there, but Craig Mack has died at the age of 47. He's
Heard about that.
Flava in your ear. I've never heard of him. I don't think. I should have. I mean, he's a couple years younger than I am, but I don't remember him.
No, Flava Flav is still alive and kicking.
Flava Flav is a different one.
Oh, so they heard that.
Yes, they heard that.
Sorry.
That was my daughter.
It's okay. Just don't play Overwatch.
Ellen P says don't play Overwatch.
Why?
What's the character that you cosplay as? Diva?
Yeah,
And her what skin?
cruiser.
Diva and her cruiser skin. So
Tell her I forgive her. Diva's an okay character in my book.
all right. Ellen P says he forgives you.
Oh, okay.
So the other thing I have, Stephanie, is I told Jeff that we had you on our show tonight, and he says hello. So, Mr. Hicks. So, any other pieces that we want to chat about tonight, or are we gonna put this one to bed and then get my dogs out before they start barking?
You should probably get your dogs out. I heard them earlier. They really sounded like they wanted to go outside or something.
Yeah, Toby's chewing on this this bone. When he gets nervous, he starts chewing on it. Sometimes when you guys hear it, it's this crunch, crunch, crunch noise. Yeah.
My dog is asleep. Mine's all curled up at the coffee table just snoring.
Oh,
But
wow.
he's an old man, so.
Yeah. Well, we have a 13-year-old German Shepherd, but I don't know where she is right now, but she likes to play a lot too. Well, the other feature we have on this is what Kendo started a long time ago, the BBC, and whatever it means, we don't know. All I know is when I don't put, we have one and I don't put it in the thumbnail, I get yelled at in the comment section.
By one person.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Somebody noticed. I mean, and it wasn't. It was like, where is it? That was not what I was expecting.
Oh, please! They complain. If it's not on this channel, they complain on the main channel about, well, we don't watch wrestling. Stop uploading the video. Like, shut up. You're getting free entertainment. Just enjoy it. This is not the Force Awakens.
Right. Yeah. Well, last week's. Well, not last week. It's been how many weeks now? That was episode 31 was the 24th of February. Kendo Slice was the only one that left a message. So, Philly Dilly is what he put. So.
Duly noted.
Yeah. And I don't give out the email address. There is a Gmail account for this channel, but I don't really give it out. Maybe I should start doing that. I'll have to remember what it is. I think it's the Fancaste at Gmail, but I'm not positive. I haven't logged into it in a long time. So that crunching noise you hear is a little, is he 28 pounds or 38 pounds? I don't know what. He's a mutt dog. Somewhere in there's pit bull, and we think dachshund and terrier and all kinds of things. If you look at my channel on YouTube, so Brian Lape being my name, there is a video of Toby listening to a sound. It's this wave file of just this pitch that just starts really low and it gets higher and higher and higher. And you can look at his expressions and everything in his big ears, and you tell me what kind of dog you think he is.
Okay.
Although my wife left a comment, please stop torturing the dog.
I agree with her.
But he's very smart. He's very strong too. He can still. We've had him about 4 or 5 years, and I can still pick him up if he grips a toy well enough. I can pick him up and sling him around, and he doesn't let go, and he growls at you the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets really tired, his ears fold back, and he has a smile, and he looks just like a pit bull. So it's pretty interesting.
Cool.
He's a nice dog. He's too smart. He knows how to get into crap, and he knows when to misbehave. So anyway, so our
Are you
BBC
sure
tonight,
that maybe
huh?
not too smart?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say something about you. I'm just saying.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
you know, I'm anus, so I like this anus. So the BBC tonight is a young lady by the name of Elizabeth Pipko, and she's a figure skater. Although apparently she got injured a little while back. She attends Harvard University and she speaks 3 languages. So and that's what is going to be reflected in the thumbnail. And it'll be reflected in the languages she speaks. And apparently she's also learning Chinese, but she doesn't list that as one she knows well. So I'll let the listeners to try to figure out, other than English, what the other 2 are. And we'll go from there. So are there any other closing thoughts, comments that anybody wants to make before we officially stop all of the fun and games?
Oh, I'm fine, man. I'm fine. So I'm just
All right.
kind of sitting here. So
All right.
good to
Well,
go.
I have been your Fancast host this week, Brain Muffin the Lifting Nerd. And Stephanie, we thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And
It's
Eric's
been
already
my
gone.
pleasure having fun.
So Liquid Metal Pro, close us out and let's say goodnight.
All right. Good night,
You know
guys.
what? I
Are you-
still
are
think
you-
Mary Poppins is hot.
Mary Poppins is hot. Oh, Julie Andrews is the new one.
Yeah. No, Jimmy Andrews.
All right. All right, good night, folks. And I'm actually going to find some bumper music and be like the real thing. Bye.